Everyone is ripping up their game week 1 drafts to get Harry Kane in after he scored 4 goals in pre-season. But don't worry, as I have managed to build the best Harry Kane draft for you in today's video. And starting off our Harry Kane draft, in goal we have gone for Johnson. I do believe he is the best 4.5 million goalkeeper. He's in my own personal draft at the moment as well. And after Steele's calamitous performance in pre-season today as well, putting the kind of Brighton first choice goalkeeper position up for grabs yet again, I think that just solidifies his place as the best goalkeeper. Since Roy Hodgson's appointment in game week 29, Palace have had the best XG conceded and have only conceded 11 goals in that period. If Turner as well does make the move to Forest, he rotates nicely with him, so you could have a playing 4.5 and 4 million goalkeeper who rotate extremely well with each other. So for me, that seems like a really good option to have. Pickford and Leno also rotate quite nicely with Turner, but I just think the solidity, the kind of performances we saw from the Crystal Palace side and their pre-season performances have been very encouraging, so I want to have at least one Palace player within my game week 1 draft. Moving into the back line, we do have Estupinian. I think he's just very much template. Obviously Brighton's 3 opening fixtures are amazing. 1 goal, 7 assists for him. Won a penalty today in Brighton's pre-season game, and yeah, he was their standout performer for me last season. I know you had March and Matoma, but this guy absolutely ripped it up. A very solid pick to have in your team at 5 million at that price point as well, where after those 3 fixtures you can easily move him on to other players. The next player we're going to talk about is Gabriel. He has gone in as he was the 4th highest scoring defender in last year's game, had the 2nd highest XG among defenders as well, and just an all-round solid pick with Arsenal's good start to the season in terms of fixtures and the way that they have been playing. He seems to be very nailed. I'm very happy to have him in at 5 million. Much better value than Ben White and always a threat from set pieces for me. Now the next defender is going to be coming from Chelsea, and it is Ben Chilwell, a very popular pick within the FPL community, picking up a lot of kind of plaudits, and you know, his pre-season performances back that up massively. The positions that he's managing to get into, he is going to be a very tasty asset to have this year. On corners, on free kicks as well, it just seems like he's the better option if he can keep himself fit, and you know, it's whether or not Chelsea can bounce back after that miserable season last year. I personally think they can. Poch is an amazing coach and he will be getting the best out of those players. The fixtures after game week 1 are immense as well, up until around game week 8-9, when you're probably going to be looking to hit that wildcard button anyway. So a very easy, solid player who's got attacking potential and at a good price point where there's plenty of other players to switch to as well. Have him in your team, it makes real sense to me. Right, moving into the midfield, it is Eze, one of my favourite kind of, not differential because he's over 10% owned, but one of my kind of undervalued players this season for me. He is going to be kind of the talisman of this team. He's going to be on the penalties, he's taking free kicks, and he's had an amazing pre-season as well for Crystal Palace. He's been an absolute joke. Since Roy Hodgson's appointment, he was the 2nd highest scoring midfielder in the game. Like I said, he's got penalties, he's cooking in pre-season. Sheffield United as well are miserable. They look awful and could be easily going down and challenging Derby for their points record. So I want Eze in. I think he's a great player to have. He's going to play 90 minutes every single week on penalties, on free kicks, on corners. That is all you need in FPL, and it's 6.5 million. Great little asset, nice tidy price as well to move to other assets around that price, so a really handy player to have for me. The next player is a player again very much in my team, not left since game week 1, and it is Bruno Fernandes. From reports I heard that he had a really good performance yesterday in Manchester United's pre-season game, picked up the man of the match award as well from what I've been reading on Twitter, but didn't get any attacking returns, which is, you know, just classic Bruno. Had, you know, in terms of data last season, didn't have an amazing season, 8 goals, 9 assists, but then if you look at the underlying data, as that really loud car goes past, if you look at the underlying kind of data, I think he had an XA of over 15 and managed to pick up 9. He's potentially going to be still on penalties as well, on all the free kicks, on the corners as well, and is a fantastic asset and a fantastic player as well to watch. I think if you want to go Rashford as well, the option is there. I just prefer Bruno Fernandes, and being the captain of Manchester United, I think he's not a minute's risk, whereas I think Rashford potentially can always be subbed off in the 60th minute, in the 70th minute, or potentially be benched and rotated in and out of the side. Right, moving on to our next player, and it is one that I'm kind of umming and ahhing on after watching the Community Shield performance. It is Gabriel Martinelli, 9 goals, 15 goals, 9 assists last season. I want that Arsenal triple up. I want it so bad, and I think it's starting to look a little bit less likely that I'm going to maybe end up with an Arsenal triple up. I think the double up is essential. Salah and a Gabriel. That makes, not Salah, Saka and a Gabriel, sorry. But then Martinelli for me just didn't look impressive in that game. And then obviously Trossard scored the equaliser that, you know, eventually led to penalties and then Arsenal winning. So maybe that's a factor in him potentially starting over Martinelli come game week 1. Obviously as well, Trossard's had a great pre-season, Martinelli not so much. So I definitely think his position is up for grabs, and it's down to him to secure that within the first few game weeks. I think game week 1 he is going to start, he is going to play. It's just whether or not those poor performances do eventually boot him out of the side. Right, moving on to our second Arsenal attacker, and it is Saka. Now this guy for me had a goodish Community Shield game. I thought he played extremely well, breaking down that right hand side, putting in a good ball for Kai Havertz. Should have potentially picked up an assist, put his penalty away as well, which is always good to see. So hopefully he can maintain his slot as Arsenal's first choice penalty taker. 12 assists, 14 goals last season for him. I hope he can continue that with Arsenal's good fixtures as well. It seems like a real no-brainer pick to me. Right, moving on to the front line, we're going to start off with Erling Haaland. 0 shots and only 14 touches in today's Community Shield match, but I don't think that's anything to kind of go off. I know a lot of people are feeding off the stat that was read out when he came off, that he's not scored in 6 Manchester City appearances. But they're going to be playing a Burnley team who like to attack. There's going to be spaces to exploit. And I just think once he gets going, it's a real no-brainer. He's going to be most people's captains in game week 1. I think he's the smart captain as well to have in game week 1. And if he isn't cooking, I think it's a lot easier to get off him than to come onto him, if you understand what I'm saying. So I think he's just got to stay in there. He's essential for now. But if he obviously doesn't kick into gear at the start of the season, then we do look at other options, and that makes the game very interesting if that happens, but we'll cross that bridge when we do come to it. Right, moving on to our second striker, and it is the man the video and this draft is based off. It is Harry Kane. 30 goals, 9 assists, 263 points last season. Obviously there has been kind of this rumour mill whether or not he's going to be staying at Spurs, whether or not he's going to be going to Bayern Munich. It does appear that he's kind of going to be staying at Spurs. That's kind of the way it seems, the narrative that is going. He's going to see out that last year of his contract and then look to move on. And the reason I've kind of, you know, potentially made this draft and potentially looking at bringing him in to my own team is the fact that he scored 4 goals in pre-season today. Postecoglou's side have had 2 pre-season games now where they've had 30 plus shots as well, so they are going to be a very attacking team. James Maddison is looking a very tidy player as well, one to, you know, watch over the first few game weeks and definitely pivot and move to when Spurs' fixtures do turn good in game week 3. So if we don't go for Kane, Maddison is a great option, but I think he's going to link up exceptionally well with Kane and those other front attacking players. No European football as well, so he's going to be playing week in, week out, whereas you can't kind of guarantee that with other kind of premium assets with European football. And he is one of the most consistent performers in the game over the past 5-6 seasons. So why are we not having this man? The price point is a difficulty, yes, but in a more attacking Spurs side, this man could absolutely clean up FPL, and that is why we're talking about him, and that is why we are making this draft. Let me know what you think of it in the comments. Are you going to go for Kane? Are you not? What is your plan to do with him? But the final player of today's draft and finishing up is another man who's picking up a lot of hype for his pre-season performances, and it is João Pedro. Scored 2 penalties now over pre-season, only 9 goals for Watford last season in the Championship, but looks a very exciting player who's going to pass the eye test, playing in that kind of 10/9 role when required as well. My only concern with him and any Brighton attacker is the quality and depth that they do have in that starting lineup. The new player as well they've signed, is it Kudos from Ajax as well, phenomenal player. So to go into that mix is going to be extremely hard, but the fact that they've given him the number 9 shirt, paid 30 million for him, and he's played a good amount of minutes in pre-season and taking penalties, I do feel that guarantees his position within this starting lineup. Only 5.5 million as well, so if it doesn't work out, he's very easy to downgrade to a 4.5 and pivot and use that money elsewhere within the team. Right, let's have a quick run through of the bench. We've gone for Bentley, but Turner as well is a great 4 million option. I think these two have the most potential to play minutes this season. Baldock and any other 4 million defender for me works absolutely wonders on the bench. You know, they're going to be playing week in, week out. There's a lot to choose from this season. So, you know, just have them there, reserve if they need to come in to the action at any point. And then the 4.5 million midfielder that I've gone for is Anderson from Newcastle United. Been absolutely tearing it apart in pre-season for them. Obviously, Eddie Howe has been very quality in terms of his praise for the player, kind of his abilities and what he can bring to this side. With Newcastle having European football as well, there's going to be chops and changes, and this man might see a few pre-season minutes. This was the Harry Kane draft. Let me know what you think of it down in the comment section below, and if you have any questions for your team, leave them down there. But thank you very much for watching, ladies and gentlemen, and enjoy the rest of your day.